The year was 1982. The world watched with bated breath as a conflict erupted in the remote South Atlantic. Argentina, ruled by a military junta, laid claim to the Falkland Islands. These islands, home to a small British population, had long been a point of contention between the two nations. Driven by nationalist fervour and domestic pressures, Argentina invaded the Falklands on April 2, 1982. The invasion took the world by surprise, and most of all, the British. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher responded with resolute determination. Tasked with reclaiming the islands, a British naval task force set sail for the South Atlantic. A tense game of cat and mouse began in the vast, unforgiving ocean. The Falklands War was more than just a territorial dispute. It became a pivotal event in the latter years of the Cold War. Both sides felt the weight of history and national pride on their shoulders. For Argentina, it was a chance to reclaim what they believed was rightfully theirs. For Britain, it was a test of their resolve on the world stage. As warships steamed towards the contested islands, the world held its breath. The stage was set for a conflict that would have far-reaching consequences. The ARA General Belgrano, a name that would soon be etched in history, was a symbol of Argentine naval power. Originally christened the USS Phoenix, this Brooklyn-class cruiser had a long and storied past. Laid down in the US during World War II, she had even survived the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. Sold to Argentina in 1951, she was renamed in honor of General Manuel Belgrano, a hero of the Argentine War of Independence. The Belgrano, with her 15 6-inch guns and a complement of over 1,000 sailors, was a formidable warship for her time. Despite her age, the Belgrano played a crucial role in Argentina's strategic calculations during the Falklands War. She was tasked with patrolling the waters to the south of the islands. Her mission was to watch for any sign of the approaching British fleet. The Belgrano, along with 2 destroyers, formed a battle group that posed a significant threat to British ships in the area. As the Belgrano sailed the South Atlantic, her crew remained vigilant, aware that they were engaged in a high-stakes game of naval chess. Underneath the waves, a different breed of predator stalked the South Atlantic. The nuclear-powered submarine HMS Conqueror represented the cutting edge of British naval technology. Silent and deadly, the Conqueror was armed with homing torpedoes, capable of crippling any ship in the Argentine Navy. Her crew, highly trained and operating in the cramped confines of the submarine, represented the elite of the Royal Navy. The Conqueror had been tracking the Argentine fleet for days. Her mission was clear: to locate and neutralize any Argentine warships that posed a threat to the British task force. The pressure on the submarine's crew was immense. They knew that their actions could have a decisive impact on the outcome of the war. In the depths of the South Atlantic, a deadly game of hide-and-seek was unfolding. On May 2, 1982, fate brought hunter and prey together. The Conqueror's sonar operators picked up the distinctive sound signature of the Belgrano and her escorts. Commander Christopher Refford Brown, the Conqueror's captain, carefully maneuvered his submarine into a position to observe the Argentine ships. The tension aboard the submarine was palpable. After days of searching, they had finally found their target. Through the periscope, the crew of the Conqueror observed the Belgrano sailing on a southwesterly course. She was outside the declared 200-mile total exclusion zone that the British had imposed around the Falklands. This fact would later become a point of major controversy. Nevertheless, Refford Brown knew that the Belgrano, even at a distance, posed a potential threat to the British task force. He sent a message back to his superiors, informing them of the Belgrano's location and requesting permission to attack. The decision now rested in the hands of the British government, thousands of miles away in London. Section 5. The Weight of Command. The Decision to Attack. The news from the South Atlantic reached the British War Cabinet, headed by Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. The decision of whether or not to attack the Belgrano was a weighty one, fraught with political and moral implications. Some argued that attacking a ship outside the exclusion zone would be deemed an act of aggression, potentially escalating the conflict and alienating international opinion. Others, however, believed that the Belgrano posed a clear and present danger to the British task force, and that neutralizing her was crucial for the success of the mission. After hours of tense debate, Thatcher and her cabinet made the decision to authorize the attack. The order was relayed back to Commander Refford Brown on the Conqueror. The fate of the Belgrano and the lives of her crew were now sealed. Section 6. Torpedoes in the Deep, the sinking of the Belgrano. At 4:40 p.m. local time, the order to fire was given. 3 torpedoes ripped through the water, their homing beacons locked onto the unsuspecting Belgrano. The silence of the South Atlantic was shattered by the explosions. 2 of the torpedoes struck the Belgrano's port side. 1 detonated in the bow, but it was the second torpedo that proved fatal. It struck amidships near the edge of the exclusion zone, igniting a fuel tank and starting a raging fire. The Belgrano, mortally wounded, began to list heavily to port. On board, chaos reigned as the crew struggled to control the damage. However, the damage was too severe. Within 20 minutes of the torpedo strikes, the order was given to abandon ship. Section 7. Rescue at Sim, the aftermath of the attack. As the Belgrano slipped beneath the waves, a desperate struggle for survival unfolded in the frigid waters of the South Atlantic. Over 1,000 sailors were now cast adrift in life rafts, battling against the elements and the threat of hypothermia. The Argentine destroyers, their attention focused on searching for the submarine, were slow to respond to the plight of their comrades. The British, despite being at war with Argentina, played a significant role in the rescue efforts. Helicopters from the British task force were dispatched to the scene, braving treacherous weather conditions to pluck survivors from the water. In a remarkable display of humanity amidst the brutality of war, British sailors helped to save the lives of the very men they had been fighting just moments before. The rescue operation lasted for days, hampered by rough seas and poor visibility. In the end, over 770 of the Belgrano's crew were rescued, a testament to the courage of both the survivors and the rescuers. However, the sinking of the Belgrano came at a heavy cost. 323 Argentine sailors lost their lives that day. Section 8. A question of legality, controversy and debate. The sinking of the ARA. General Belgrano remains one of the most controversial events of the Falklands War. The attack and the circumstances surrounding it have been the subject of heated debate ever since. The primary point of contention is the Belgrano's location at the time of the attack. Although she was sailing towards the exclusion zone, she was outside of it when the torpedoes struck. This has led some to argue that the attack was illegal, a violation of international law. Adding fuel to the fire was the revelation that the Belgrano had altered course and was actually sailing away from the exclusion zone when she was attacked. The British government initially claimed that the Belgrano posed an imminent threat to the task force, hence the decision to strike. However, declassified documents and accounts from those involved have cast doubt on this assertion. The debate over the legality and morality of the attack continues to this day, a stark reminder of the complexities and enduring controversies of warfare. Section 9. The Shifting Tides, the Belgrano's Legacy. The sinking of the ARA General Belgrano was a pivotal moment in the Falklands War. It marked a turning point in the conflict, both militarily and psychologically. The loss of the Belgrano, a symbol of Argentine naval power, was a major blow to Argentine morale. It also made it clear to the Argentine junta that the British were willing to escalate the conflict, even if it meant taking controversial actions. The sinking of the Belgrano had a profound impact on the course of the war. It effectively confined the Argentine fleet to port for the remainder of the conflict, giving the British Navy unchallenged control of the seas around the Falklands. This proved to be a decisive factor in the eventual British victory. The Belgrano also served as a stark reminder of the human cost of war on both sides of the conflict. The loss of over 300 lives weighed heavily on the hearts of nations, fueling the debate over the justification for the attack and the true costs of victory. The legacy of the ARA General Belgrano is a complex one. It is a story of courage, sacrifice, and the enduring consequences of decisions made in the heat of battle. The sinking of the Belgrano serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict and the enduring controversies that can arise from the fog of war. Even today, over 4 decades later, the debate continues, ensuring that the memory of the Belgrano and her crew will not be forgotten.